Hi guys, well, it's been a long time since our last video, but it's good to be back. Today we're taking you through the small community of success on the east coast of Demerara, located about within 7 to 8 miles from the capital city of Georgetown. We attempted like 3 times to do this video, but the prevailing weather did not permit us. But today the weather seems to be okay, even though it rained this morning. Seems to be favorable, so enjoy as we take you through success. Bordered by Chateau Margaux to the east and Leary Souvenir to the west, Success existed since the early 1900s. It's a small community and has a population of about 3,000. If you heard of Little Cuba, then you heard about Success. Like every other community, Success has its own history. I, like many other persons, always inquisitive to know why Success was nicknamed Little Cuba. Success earned the title Little Cuba in the 60s during the riots. During that time, persons from neighboring villages who wanted to raid Success were prevented from entering the village because the people of Success remained united. And those who were able to invade Success would have received a sound beating. People were afraid of Success. For a long time after that period, Success remained a community where outsiders were fearful to venture into Success. But that is no longer the case. Success has transformed into a very peaceful community. Apart from the title Little Cuba, Success is known for its dominance in the softball arena. Having moved to the Success Chateau Margaux community, I recall playing with the Success team where we won the minor league title and progressed to the major league. Enjoy as we take you through the community. Most people refers to this road as Gas Station Road, but its original name is Princess Margaret Road. This road got its name in 1958 when Princess Margaret visited British Guyana. This is where the Success Market was before it was relocated to the new market that was built sometime in the late 90s, early 2000, to the western side of Success. But that market is no longer functional, and it's now home to the Chateau Margaux Nursery School.
Mohan Ram Prasad, called by gun. I born and grew in this area 62 years ago. This area was known as Little Cuba. Growing up, I was made to understand that during the 60s, when they had the differences between Indians and Africans in Guyana, Success was predominantly an Indian community. Based on that, because of the work that was done by prior individuals, it was given the name Little Cuba. And it was a very feared name because a lot of people was afraid when they heard the name Little Cuba because of the reputation that the people prior would have given to Success. Success is a no-nonsense community, and up to today, it still remains the same. The perception is still there that the community is a violent community, which is not so. Over the years, maturity has taken over and better sense has prevailed. Presently, it is now a community where it reflects a one Guyana. You can find races of all the ethnicities in this country living in Success. Success has developed a far way from then to now. The roads have become better, the education standard has been uplifted, the sports facilities has been uplifted. It takes time for communities to develop, but more can be done, and I'm certain more will be done. In sports, Success has always been cricket, a major force to be reckoned with. Growing up, I can recall that for a small area like this, we had Chateau Margaux, Success, Pigeon Island, and Souvenir combined, and we had 3 teams which predominantly used to be dominated. I mean the bigger teams, because like Better Hope, Ogle, LBI, they had more facilities than us. And having a small ground, we could have competed with those people. And we performed excellently based on what we would have had in those days. I am seeing that there is some developments with the ground. I was part of it. Myself, my neighbor over there, Redman, Grumble, people who knows them, we would have been the ones that put that ground back into playing condition after the government would have changed in 1992. The ground presently now has a new name. From the Success Playground, it has been named the Harry Powell Playground, and you would have played an important part in getting the ground with the name Harry Powell Playground. Harry Powell, most persons will know, the older generation will know, that Harry Powell made this area famous in the Olympics. I think it was the 1976 Olympics in Mexico, where he ran in the Olympics, and he put Guyana's name on the map as a distance runner. I expect the younger generation to start following sports, not only cricket, athletics, volleyball, football, whatever. I mean, the ground is small, but things can be worked out on various days. You have various activities, and you just can't concentrate on cricket alone. Everybody will not like cricket. Some people will have other activities, but we have to look and we have to place emphasis on other type of sports, and not only softball. Success is great with softball. The first 10-10, Success won the first 10-10, they won $1 million. We would have shocked the entire Guyanese community with the performance in that 10-10 competition. Nobody expected that Success would have won that competition.
Alright guys, we're taking you to one of the most famous barbershop in Success, Asif Barbershop.
Yeah, the bottom.
See this barbershop here? If you ever feel bored or you want a good gift, come to this barbershop. This is the barber here, Asif, one of the most famous barbershop in this community.
It's our family barbershop right now. You see, father, son, nephew.
See what I tell you, if you want a good gift, you must come to this barbershop.
Success, yes. And a wonderful name. And as the name, you know, I wouldn't want to live in a better place than Success, right? And not so much for the name. I think it's looking back, and if I have to go back 60 years plus, we're talking, it was real community, whereby you have neighbors used to look out for each other. And we're not talking the neighbor next door, we're talking streets. You would have I'm in the 7th Street as they call it here. right? You have the 6th Street and the 8th Street, the last street would be looking out for each other, the neighbors. You know, it was a real community, small community, but in terms when you think about communal people, Success was one of them. If we were to say it's a community that stands together, that bands together, that look, like I mentioned earlier, they look out for each other. I grew up too hearing Success is known as Little Cuba. And even if I talk to somebody on the outside and I say I'm from Success, East Coast, Demerara, them guys said Little Cuba. And the name used to drive fear. And fear in terms of, I don't think it's like people frightened, it's somewhat more of a respect. That this is a community that used to stand together, you know, and people used to look out for each other. They understand that. And I can recall talking to this guy from a classmate from Grove, and Grove was a village similar like Success, but they were a large village. And he was telling me that, man, one time he came in Success to a wedding, and something happened, and they got into a little fight. And he said the guys that made him make the drainer roadway. He was running on water, so it's only Jesus walk on water. Yeah. But he said because they just like you touch one person was everybody, but whether it was right or wrong, that just showed that communities was standing together. So it's a place whereby it was real family. It was the entire village, and throughout. After, I would say, 70s, the 80s, you find that we lost our way a little bit maybe after the 80s, unfortunately. I don't know if it was that period, and I want to get political, where things were really hard in the 70s and 80s, where the neighbor, never mind the neighbor, don't have much to eat, but there was a lot of sharing and stuff going on. And like I said, people looking out for each other. But then, it became like people started becoming a little more selfish, and it could be a number of factors. It could be the Western influence, exposure to TV, advent of TV and other things. Maybe more women got involved in the workforce whereby they were saying, but you have that kind of stuff people start looking out for their more immediate family, and there was a drift. And I have to think, as a culture, a different group of kids were being grown up too, man. You know, and we lost our way. And to where we at as a community today, you would find, you don't find guys hanging in the streets chatting anymore till 10, 11, even into midnight. Cops used to drive around in the 70s, 80s until you get off the street. They don't lock you up really, but when you see them, tell you our time to go in, you know, and that kind of stuff. It was real community. Now you don't have that. Guys don't sit down and shoot the breeze, so to speak, having talk about, oh, you look at it, you hear what happened with so-and-so at the front street or second street or your back street or next door village or whatever the case. You don't find that kind of stuff, you know. So we lost our way a little bit as a community, you know, when I'm looking at it now. One of the things though, I would tell you, even though there was some amount of challenging division at the time, even in the 80s, one of the division was, strangely, they said sports brings you together. In a way it did, but you had 3 cricket clubs. I wouldn't call them sporting clubs. So there's cricket clubs in Success. First, they had the Somerset, which was the guys closer to Chateau Margaux, 42nd Street, but on that half, the eastern side. 42nd, 3rd Street, where you have guys like Pickin, you had the Dullichans and so on. Them guys used to play for that club, Somerset. Then you had the Eagles, which was, I don't know if you heard the name, like Yank and Chatubai and Joe Bai and Ladu Bai, and those are her nicknames. I can't remember them guys. Even Alvin, who passed away recently, I didn't know until the night of this thing. So sorry to hear about that. He was one of the old stalwarts, very respectful individual, I must say. You know, those guys were part of the Eagles. Then you had some guys from Larry Souvenir, which guys were the Fongs, them guys, a guy named Jakes and Zico and them guys. Yeah, they were, even though we were a community, there was a little bit of separation because of that. When competition was cricket competition, you find that you're getting a lot of ragging, who's better, who's not best, and that kind of stuff. You get into arguments, not really fights, but arguments. So we, Backstreet Boys, as we were known, we never had any kind of club. But you had a lot of guys from the back here. You had the Brownie Manchel Singh. You had guys like Hanif, Dr. Hanif right here, mechanic. And you have guys like Mogi and a lot of those guys. And them guys could have played cricket, Webb and so on, Asif's father and stuff. And them guys were thing, but we couldn't break. The guys couldn't get into Somerset or Eagles, so they decided to form a club at the back here. And we said rather than just call it some kind of cricket club, we decided to say, hey, what? Success Sports Club, and we're gonna go beyond just cricket. We're gonna get involved in other sports and the whole idea was to get the community involved, the younger kids, the women, even, you know. My brother, Dennis, who was a sports freak, a fitness freak. He was into karate, tennis, and all that kind of stuff. He was just, so he was thinking the long term. He was thinking get the women into it instead of just being home or at least the younger ladies. So that club was established, Success Sports Club.
Success has now been extended way beyond the railway embankment into the cane fields through the government housing drive. Soon, Success will no longer be a small community.
My name is Benedict, and also known as Benny, and I've been living like about 30 years and above, and it's a nice community, peaceful, and loving people in the community, I could say that.
26 years I live in Success, and we two have a good relationship, policing group,
Right.
for a very long time. Me, you, Benny, David, Prem, everybody.